Hey everybody, it's hot outside in most of the country. It's certainly hot here. Been running around outside. It's hot. So we're going to talk football though. And this is a video for anyone who's interested in the NFL algorithm, is also anyone who's interested in week one's predictions. I know that we all want to get the best we can and set up the rosters. So this video is an in-depth video about how you manipulate the rosters and give players a proper percentage and how you kind of do it fairly quickly to make sure that you've got important positions covered, like first string quarterback, first string running back. Some things we're going to check for, because this is basically the most difficult week of the season to do this, because we have to estimate a ton of different percentages for people that have never played before. It gets easier as the season goes along because we already have season stats for almost everybody after week one or week two. So you don't really have to do this extensive of a job the whole season, but this is what you have to do in the beginning. So I'm going to show you briefly, even though this video is probably going to go fairly long, how we're going to do this, and then what our final projections or close to final projections are. It's only Wednesday here, and injury reports change. Let me give you an example. The Thursday night game, Kansas City, right? What happened? Travis Kelce hyperextended his knee in practice, and all of a sudden he's down here as questionable. You know what a hyperextended knee means? It means swelling. It means swelling 2 days before the game. Does that mean he's going to be targeted a ton and running like crazy? Probably not. Let's get real. Even if he's better, he's not going to get targeted a ton if he's already limping on a hyperextended knee. And for hyperextend your knee, it takes a day or two. So stuff like this means that we can run some projections with Kelce, for example, not playing, and see how that affects the scores. Something we need to do, and getting a new injury report in here, which was the first thing that I did, is I went in and I updated the injury report from RotoWire, and then I went in and updated every single depth chart sheet for quarterbacks, running backs, quarterbacks, wide receivers, tight ends, and kickers. Notice there are still problems like the Rams. I put Ronaldo in as their kicker. You got to put somebody in there. They haven't signed a kicker yet still, according to RotoWire's depth charts. Pain in the butt. So point is, we need to now run through all the rosters and make sure they all make sense. How are we going to do that? Here's how we're going to do that. We're going to unhide all the teams, or hide, yes, basically all the teams are showing. We're showing injury status of healthy, which is the blank, doubtful, and questionable. We've got all our players in here. Does anything look weird? Yes. I see weirdness with zeros in kickers. We're going to go position by position. Unbelievable. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to start with kickers because they're the easiest. The thing about kickers is you want to have one kicker per team, which is probably what we're going to have showing. So you expand out. We're actually going to start doing this by player instead of, now we need to do it by team still, but basically we want to make sure we have one kicker per team, and that kicker has a rating. Everything's great, except all of a sudden, starting with Indianapolis, Dallas, San Francisco, and Green Bay, we don't have anything for their kickers. Now, the truth is we actually did have backup numbers for these kickers, and I already went through and did this. But for the purposes of this, we just have to go one by one, because I need to show you how we do this one by one. These people's names are in here. Matt Gay's name is in here. We're going to, it's going to take a second. We're going to put Matt Gay's in here. We're going to give all these kickers that don't have any rating a 0.6, because that is about the lowest. As you can see, that's about the lowest that any of these kickers have. When we condense this down and collapse, you see that the lowest kickers have about a 0.6. So we're going to give all these kickers about a 0.6. Notice I just added Matt Gay. So when we refresh, his name is going to show with a 0.6 next to it. Refresh, 0.6, Matt Gay, and Matt Gay is done. Next, we have to do this for Anders Carlson. You can see there's 0.6. Now, a quick way to find them is if we sort this by descending, you'll see all the kickers with 0.6 are going to show up at the top here. So we're basically going to give every single kicker a 0.6. These are all the kickers. So now when we refresh this, because I already did this once, I shouldn't have to do it again. We should get this correct. And the lowest kickers now have a 0.6. So now when we look at our kickers, we're comfortable that our kickers are going to be reasonable for week 1. Good enough. QBs. Now, here's the cool thing about QBs. We're going to look at them in terms of their string number, meaning we don't want to have a big, huge, heavy ranking on QB4, QB3 very much, but we do want to have some kind of ranking on QB1. Are there any QB1s that are zeros? Yes, it's these guys. It's the rookies, Anthony Richardson, CJ Stroud, Bryce Young. Now, here's where it gets difficult. What do you give as a rating for these guys? Big draft pick, right? Draft pick, like, are they going to perform better than weaker quarterbacks, like apparently Matthew Stafford? And, these guys, I'm hesitant to give them a big number, and I kind of want to continue on doing what I'm doing, which is giving them sort of the lowest average number possible. They're untested. We got to give them something, but I don't think we want to overestimate them. If one of these players plays incredibly and outplays their number, well, that's something we're going to learn in week 1, and there's nothing really we can do to guess that. We're just guessing, right? We're just guessing here. So it's an imperfect science at this point in the season, but that's what we're doing. CJ Stroud is the next one. We're going to give him a 0.15. We're going to give Bryce Young a 0.15. Bryce Young, 0.15. He's right there. Okay, perfect. Now when we refresh, we're going to have something for every single QB, including Herbert with the worst rating out of all of them, because apparently he throws too many interceptions and fumbles the ball. I think that's a problem with him. That's why he has such a low rating. He's in there for a full season last season. He just has bad rating. All right, how about QB2s? We've got a lot of zeros down here for QB2s. Now, I am actually not going to worry about these people because they're probably not going to play. So they're going to be all new players, or players didn't play at all last year, something like that. So we're just going to leave them as zeros because we don't have anything, and they're probably not going to play anyway. What about our QB2s with high ratings? Does Russell Wilson get pulled for Stidham? Maybe, maybe not. Do you want to leave him in here? We're going to leave everybody else in here, but understand, you can see there's a little mismatch with our QB2s. We might be overestimating Denver's offense a little bit because we're giving them 2 full quarterbacks. We might be overestimating Washington's offense a little bit because we're giving them 2 full quarterbacks. We might be doing more for the Jets because we're giving them Aaron Rodgers and we're giving them, Zach Wilson, right? Lamar and Tyler Huntley. Kirk Cousins and who on Minnesota? Kirk Cousins number 2. Nick Mullins and Cousins. Cousins and Mullins. Sounds like a band. Okay. So that's our QB2s. I'm happy with that. We're not doing much. How about QB3s? I'm okay with zeros. And we got Taysom Hill. What are we going to do here? Here's what we're going to do here. Oh man. We're going to, I believe we need to remove Taysom Hill from quarterback, and I'll explain why. This is the judgment call I'm making, and here's where we're going to do it. He's a weird one because he's a quarterback and a tight end. He has this 0.46 rating, which is effectively his tight end rating. We need to get rid of his QB status. Even though he's a QB, we're going to remove him off this list because it's smarter for the algorithm to remove him. We've had problems with the Saints in the past, and so we're going to go to the Saints here. And we're just going to remove him. He's questionable anyway, by the way. We're going to remove him off the list, and we're going to put the other player as a third stringer. Whoops. Yeah, leave that guy in there. And then when we go back, Taysom Hill is not going to be on this list anymore. Boom. It's now this guy, Jay Keener, who doesn't have a rating. Everybody else, I guess, will leave because they're not that big. So now we only have 3 strings of QBs. Everything's great for QBs right now. We're good. Let's go to running backs. Let's go to first string running backs. Who's the big running back on the Raiders? Josh Jacobs, heck of a rating. Is this Chubb? Yeah, Chubb. Who's Saquon Barkley? Yeah, so look who your big running backs are. We do have a 0 down here for Atlanta. That can't stand. Bijan Robinson, we're going to give him a 0.25 just because he's probably a draft pick, and that's why he's listing here as a number 1. So that's clearly one that we need to give him something. So I'm going to give him a 0.25. Everybody else got a rating in here from last year. So that's good. Now we've got our first string running backs taken care of. We just gave them a 0.25. Second stringers. We have a few more zeros down here. Boy, the Saints are bringing up a lot of new running backs. Who's the second running back for them? Kendre Miller. So these players right here, I'm tempted to give them something because I feel like we're underestimating the run game. But also, there's a reason we don't have stats on these people. Who knows how many touches they'll get. I'm not as concerned about putting a number in here, but you could. Maybe we'll dig if you do any of your own research and some of these guys are big draft picks and are supposed to get some touches, we should add something in there. I'm just going to let it go because I don't want this video to go forever. Understand that there's about like 7 of them down here, right? Yeah, there's 8 of them that we don't have anything for. Probably should put something in there, but I'm just going to kind of let it go. Running back 3, similar thing. You got like 10 down here. Probably should put something little in there. I'm not even going to worry about running back 4. Fine. Running backs are sort of done. Tight ends. First string tight ends. We've got a couple zeros down here I want to deal with. So we got brand new Luke Musgrave on Green Bay and Irv Smith. I'm going to give these people just a 0.1 just to give them something. 0.1. Notice we're guessing. We have no other choice. We don't know how Irv Smith's going to play. We don't know how many touches he's going to get. We know he's a second string running back, so we should give him something. But we don't know. And if he outplays this number, so be it. There's only so much we can guess at this point in the season. You'll see it at least with his stats in week 2. So we're really going above and beyond here in week 1 to really try to provide a reasonable estimate for people. But talk about an imperfect science in week 1. Here you go, imperfect science. Tight end 2, I don't think I'm even going to worry about it. Just want to see how many guys are zeros. Yeah, you got some guys down here that are zeros. Tight end 3s, ton of them are zeros. Not going to worry about it. It's a position that shouldn't get targeted that much. And almost all zeros on tight end 4s. So at least it's more equivalent. All right, we just did tight ends. How about wide receivers? Wide receivers, lots of wide receivers. We're going to go through wide receiver 1, 2, and 3 and probably try to get numbers for almost everybody. Definitely for wide receiver 1s. Calvin Ridley. Yeah, Calvin Ridley's got to have something if he's healthy. Michael Pittman's got to have something. We're going to give these people 0.25s, although Calvin Ridley's a really good receiver. I'm tempted to want to give him more. I remember him performing very well. I believe it was for Atlanta, and then he was out for the whole season. I'll give him a 0.3 just from remember him being good. So I'm giving him a little bit more than the 0.25. DK Metcalf also, wow, was he injured all last year? He's a great receiver. Was he hurt? Why do I not have DK Metcalf? That I'm amazed. I'm going to give him a 0.5. That dude was incredible. He was unbelievable. He must have been hurt. Maybe, you don't want to give him too much of a number because he could potentially be injured, whatever. We'll give Pittman a 0.25 because I can't remember him being all that good. Right. But we're just going off my memory here, folks. Like this is not a perfect science. Certainly in week 1. All right. So we've just given all of our wide receiver 1s a rating. We're almost done. Let's go wide receiver 2. And we've got a couple down at the bottom, 3 of them. Let's give these people 0.25s because this wide receiver 2 is a pretty big position. So we're going to give DJ Chark a 0.25. And you'll see I did this before already, but now we're really doing it. I gave him a 1%, but you can see we need to give him more. Like he's more in line with being a 0.25 type player because that's what these numbers are generally at the bottom, or at least 0.25. Gabe Davis and Jordan Addison, we're going to give those players a 0.25 as well. This is going to help to normalize the scoring so that we have a more reasonable score prediction because some of these people are going to get targeted. Some of these people are going to make some catches, and it's unfair to give them a 0 when the expectation is they're probably going to have some touches. No matter how good they really are, they're probably going to provide something. And we don't want to just leave that key position out of the rating system. All right. So we've just done all of our wide receiver 2s now. So now we don't have any more zeros on wide receiver 2s. Let's go to wide receiver 3 just to do one check. I'm not even going to dig into wide receiver 4, 5, 6, or 7. And there's a lot here. I'm tempted to add a little bit with these guys, but I'm not even going to. Like, I'm getting bored with it. And it's only week 1. Like, there's a law of diminishing returns on this at some point, especially when you get down to the lower levels. So guess what, everybody? We've got everything with doubtful and questionables in here. And what we can do now? We can refresh. And after all this, we get to refresh, and voila. It's the Bears over the Packers still, but the Packers have so many new players. So many new players. So I just know that I remember looking at the Packers lineup, and you're like, look at how many zeros we're going to have on here. Look at all these zeros. We got all these guys that are brand new. So you just have to understand that the Packers, of course, are not getting a fair shake in their rating here because they're all new. We don't know how they're going to play. Commanders are still up here now at 21-14. Eagles are number 3 at 23-16 over the Patriots. Did I remove Mariota? I think I removed him. Let's look. Mariota, I believe, is not playing. I need to get him out completely. Let's go to QB depth. It says he's still on here, and it makes me think that RotoWire is just not as updated as it should be. Don't freeze on me now. Eagles. Yeah, Mariota's still on here. It's not Mariota. It's McGee. We know this. So we're going to get Mariota off of there completely. I just want to give him a 0. We go back to the projection pivot sheet. And he's gone from here. And then we go back to picks. This game was 23-16. It is now still 23-16, apparently. So Mariota didn't have a good rating anyway. Now, yeah, so this is the list with basically as good as we can get. I'm hesitant. I mean, the only reason you can stay away from the Bears and they're on top here is because we know we have a really incomplete Packers. That's why it's here. So Washington, though, which is what I was saying originally as the number 1, is above Philadelphia here in this look. They don't score as many points as Philadelphia scores, but they are there. Then Jacksonville, the Chargers have dropped a little bit now that we updated this. And okay, but hold on a second. Hold on a second. So this is with everybody on here. Let's not have doubtful people playing. Okay. We just got rid of doubtfuls. And as we get rid of doubtfuls, the list still stays pretty much the same. And scores are still pretty much the same. What happens when we get rid of questionables as well? So this is a suspect one to get rid of because usually I leave it in there, but we're just going to look and see how it changes things. Keep in mind, Kansas City's right here with Kelce in the game. Watch what happens now. Yeah, Kansas City is now losing to Detroit, folks. If Kelce doesn't play, this is a 2020 game on Thursday night. If Kelce's out, he's one of the questionable that got removed. So with questionables out, the Chargers move up. Washington moves down because Terry McLaurin was questionable but was in pads today. Eagles are about the same. Jaguars are about the same. So what have we learned? We've learned we still have to do an update Saturday before Sunday's games because the injury report's going to change. We learned that, but we also learned that the Chiefs are now suspect with Kelce questionable for sure. For sure. This makes this a super close game. Notice this game goes, did the over-under change? It's now at 52. It was at 54, but Kelce's now questionable. This game is probably going under on Thursday night. Thursday night games like to go under anyway, but it is the first one of the season. Receiving core diminished for the Chiefs would mean a lower scoring game here. There's already supposed to be a lot of running in that game if you watched my analysis of this game in a previous video this week. So I want to put questionable people back in here. I want to do that. But understand that when we had questionable people out, it looked like this. And this is something you can mess with when you have a copy of the file and you can really make your own decisions because this is the breakdown that I'm giving out as what it says with the caveat that I know we don't have enough player rankings for Green Bay, but we can't. And I also know that things like Kelce is injured, and I would never play the Chiefs at minus 205, given all the reasons that Detroit has some runners now. And like, nope. Like, I don't ever want to say take Detroit, just like I don't ever want to say like take the Jets. Although this year we may be taking the Jets. We're supposed to take the Jets in week 1 over Buffalo, everybody. They're at plus 120. It says they win a low scoring game. So there you go. That's how you update the players, the depth charts, and the injuries, and really break down the Proj pivot sheet to understand what you're looking at. We will not have to do these re-rankings for most of the rest of the season. We're going to end up getting all the stats and putting them in right here as they come in for the current season, in the passing sheet, in the rushing sheet, in the receiving sheet, in the defensive sheet. That's another thing, is I don't even have the current defenses in there. I got last year's defenses in here. So our defensive part of the projections are absolutely going to be off because we have a partial roster. Even though we've still connected, I have all of last year's defensive players in here. Some of them may not even be playing anymore. So I know our defensive is wrong because I don't even have a current defensive list. Just problems we have to deal with in week 1. It is what it is. Now, that's the video, though. And we're standing by our big survivor pool picks being Washington and Philadelphia. Although we saw that the questionables on Washington did drop them a bit. But all these teams up here, we're going to stay away from the Bears just because we're going to stay away from the Bears. But they probably win. It's probably a new Green Bay team that they probably beat. So I'm probably wrong about all this. The algorithm probably knows what it's talking about anyway. But you can see that these ones up here are looking like survivor pool picks. I have to give you what the algorithm said, and for me to really say that, I need to see the highest ranking one at all of the different injury scenarios. So when we get rid of the questionables, who's at the top of the list? Damn, man, it's close. We don't get a confirmation. I mean, it could be the Chargers, it could be the Eagles, it could be Washington, and it could be Jacksonville. But we know we got a brand new quarterback starting for Indianapolis. And Philadelphia just seems like a stronger pick. They seem like a stronger pick. Notice that the points against here, they're supposed to hold the Patriots to 13. They're not home. So in this case, the Chargers being home is supposed to help. The Bears being home is supposed to help. I would never take the Browns over the Bengals. Look at this awful win score percentage here. According to last season's win stats, the Bengals would win this game. Point projections are disagreeing. So that's a no. That's why the Bears are a no also, because there's a negative 35 win strength compared to last year's stats. So even though our points are supposed to be better, and they are going to be better, you still don't want to go against this. Like you want the consensus to be the team is supposed to win, and the points are confirming the team's going to win. So it's more within this realm of these teams here. Notice Buffalo and the Jets switch completely based on questionables. What? Why is that? Who is questionable on Buffalo? Let's take a look at that. That's crazy. That's a huge difference in the switch of the game. Buffalo's got nobody questionable? Oh, so it's somebody on the Jets that's questionable. That's what it is. Who's questionable on the Jets? The Jets questionable list. Oh, goodness. Breece Hall, Alan Lazard, Mecole Hardman, and Israel Abamikanda, who I don't have a rating for. 3 big guys questionable on the Jets. So that's why that game's flipping around, right? Really cool to look at it both ways, because it's not Buffalo. It's not the Jets. It's not Buffalo. It's unknown way down here. So when you look at all these games, for those of you, if I do a private video, which I may or may not do at this point, because I've talked about almost everything I want to talk about for week 1. But as I start doing private videos in the future, I'll just leave you with this with week 1, right? This is too sketchy because we don't know how Green Bay is going to play. Washington's supposed to win. Philadelphia's supposed to win. Jaguars supposed to win. Chargers supposed to win. Browns supposed to win apparently, but I don't trust it. And neither does this. Ravens supposed to win, but terrible line. Seahawks supposed to win, but a low scoring game. Falcons supposed to win, but only by 3. Giants over the Cowboys, but not by win scores. And now we start to get down here with stuff that's not guaranteed, including Raiders and Broncos, which I would have thought the Raiders are going to crush this game. But don't listen to me. Listen to the algorithm. So super close games all the way down to about here. You've got the round robin of winners that I'm going to go with, according to this, is Atlanta, Seattle. I'm going to stay away from Baltimore because the line's terrible. Chargers, Jaguars, Eagles, Commanders. That's 6 teams that the algorithm is confirming on both win score and point projections, that they win these games and they win them by more than a field goal. So we stay away from the Bears. Or I stay away from the Bears. I stay away from the Browns. I stay away from the Ravens. Certainly thinks they don't cover this 9.5. Says they don't do it. Now I know. Yeah, I mean, that's what it says. All right. So that's the true, how you do this. And that's about as much depth as we're going to go into for week 1, because there just isn't too much else to do. And we're just going to have to wait for stats for the season to start. And you'll see how easier and cleaner it is in week 2, and what kind of surprises we'll have in for us then. And as we start to import current season stats. So that is the final week 1 update. Let's just call it that. Good luck, everybody. May all your picks be winning. You can buy copies of this on KenBraverman.com, and may everything be winning, because that's what we're here to do. Is we're here to win. We're going to win.